But who better than me?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Base Talks. As always, please like and subscribe if you have a friend, a colleague, a relative, an associate, an enemy, any and all in between. It's appreciated. Now, I've known Dan for a little while, you know, as I've kind of alluded to in the video a little bit. I didn't want to put too much of it out of there, but yeah, like away from boxing, like kind of started outside of that music genre, you know. Shout out man like Chucky, shout out man like Poet, everyone else that has been on any HC pod, and you know, even Chucky. Like I've known Chucky for years. Anyway, outside of that, I always speak to Dan, but I never speak to him on camera. But I felt like I had to pick his brain on some of the recent events. Obviously, there's been a lot of activity with you know, boxer fighters, and just in general, he is kind of a straight shooter, which is sometimes what you need. Even though I know there's times where he wants to say a lot more than he can, but he won't lie as such, if you know what I mean, which makes for refreshing content. But yeah, look, a new person to this channel, so welcome, and hopefully you guys enjoy, and if so, then yeah, definitely I'll be looking to do more on camera conversations with him. But yeah, watch, enjoy, let me know your thoughts afterwards. Appreciate you. This is Base the Kid, the hardcore casual. Delighted to be joined by boxer representative Savage Dan, although I didn't meet Savage Dan via boxer and boxing. Funny enough, I seem to meet everyone via the music scene. Big friend of Chucky's and all that. First off, Dan, how are you and how has things been?
I'm good, man. I'm kind of excited for this fight. So you know what it is, it's 2025. We're getting all the big fights. So yeah, man, I'm as happy as can be. You know, I'm just still doing whatever I like to do. That's it.
No, we're at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I won't take up too much of your time, but what I want to ask you, all right, so with regards to this fight, obviously, boxer, vested interest in Chris Eubank Jr. We saw what happened on Tuesday. When all of that kind of happened and occurred, what was your immediate thoughts? And then what was your thoughts maybe a day after, now that you've had a chance to think about it?
Do you know what? When I first saw it, I didn't know it was an egg. I thought it was a slap, and I thought chewing gum came out of Connor's mouth. So I was thinking, oh my, and it's only when I saw someone who got the footage of it that was an egg. I was like, oh, it's an egg, which I can't work out if I felt like that made it better, because it wasn't a slap, it was like a push egg scenario kind of thing. It's all part of it. Connor's gonna hate it, Matchroom are gonna hate it. We didn't know about it. I certainly didn't know about it. I was as shocked as everyone. You can see people's reactions on stage. Everyone's like, he's obviously been rolling around with those eggs in his pocket for a few hours or whatever. And yeah, you know, it's part of the drama. I'm not sure what we expect today, but I don't expect Connor to want it to stay at 1-0. I feel like he's going to want his get back. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does.
With all of that stuff that happened, there was the face-off that was supposed to happen yesterday. Obviously, we've now got this. Do you think, like, almost they're regretting now stopping that face-off from happening? That maybe, oh, you know, if we had put some partitions, if we could have dealt.
Do you know what? That was my thing. I remember the Hey Chisora where they put the fence in front of them, and I think sometimes you got to lean into it. There was obviously the egg in the face. You know, Connor's gonna try and get him back. How do you not lose the whole moment, but make sure that nothing too crazy happens? I would have gone with a fence, a clear glass thing, or whatever it is, just to have some kind of degree of separation. But I don't think I would have wanted to lose the moment. However, emotions are high. You know, you're gonna have to see each other on Thursday as well. They're only a few feet away from each other. Who knows? Someone might start throwing something. We don't know what to expect. We just know that it can go off at any given moment. So I'm as interested as you. We're doing this before the presser, so we don't know. I'm not sure what you expect.
You know what? To be honest, I don't know what to expect today. All I remember is I put out a tweet as soon as that all happened and the slap, and I didn't even see the egg first. Same as you. It's only when Eddie was on the zone, it was an egg, and they did the video. I put out a tweet saying, I cannot wait for Thursday. But then when I started thinking about it, I'm like, actually, it won't be as good, because now there's going to be extra security. They can't get close to each other. Who knows?
It makes it good. I think it's still good. It adds a little bit of, like, almost like intentions to it. You know, you got the extra security guards. You have to be separated because you two can't come within, you know, close proximity of one another, or it's going to go off, kind of thing. I think that just adds to the drama. So either one of them, someone's got something up their sleeve for today. I don't know what it is, but I'm expecting something. I would be astounded if this was just a normal press conference.
Right, speaking of that, right, this is obviously for Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves, SNK, all of that, but there's an undercard. I haven't heard anything about any undercard fighters being here, which is surprising, but I want to ask you, of the undercard, like, what's your thoughts on some of those fights?
Yeah, I mean, look, when it's the main event like this, I feel like sometimes the undercard gets a little bit overshadowed. Interesting one is definitely going to be Lyndon Arthur and Anthony Yard 3. I like Yard, proper like Lyndon as well, that's my guy. And it's a very interesting fight because one was a boxing masterclass and the other one was a destructive get back from Anthony Yard, and now we have the trilogy, you know, and we see who's got what left. Anthony Yard would have been probably underwhelmed with his last performance because he was in there with tough opposition, but people would have thought, oh, we haven't heard of this guy, he should be getting him out of there, and it was a hard night's work. So this will be the fight that gets the bit between both of their teeth. I think that's the fight I'm looking at most.
You know what, I can't lie, as good as like the main event is intrigue, entertainment, my actual fight that I'm looking forward to is Chris Smith versus Brandon Glanton. Now, talk to me, like, how is Chris really ready for the fire that Brandon claims he's bringing in this fight?
Yeah, look, we're talking about Chris Smith here, man. I think he's ready for all of them. Like, he got beat by Ramirez, and Ramirez was class on that night. But let's not pretend this isn't a guy that beat Riatpo, beat Okoli. He's ready for what Glanton brings. It's just who gets their night, who gets their way on the night. But there's never been a question of, is Billam Smith ready? He's always ready. You know, like, he's just one of those guys that just lives in the gym. He's got McGuigan. They'll come up with a good game plan, and he'll see this as his opportunity to get kind of back to the top.
Taking it away from that really prick, obviously we've got Queensbury now jumped to the zone, and they've brought, what was it, heavy artillery, I think they've called it, the big heavyweight fights. Talking about the undercard for that, we've got like David Adelier, we've got Jamie TKV. Just give me your thoughts on sort of that card as well. What's that fight saying for you?
That card's crazy. That fight in particular you want me to talk about, or that fight is a really interesting fight. Obviously David's my guy from young, that's what I'm saying. TKV, I love TKV. We represent TKV as well, so it's one of those fights that I don't necessarily like, innit? I have to deal with a couple of them a year where it's just like, it's an interesting one. They've sparred hundreds of rounds. They know each other inside out. It's just about who can do what, who can get their fight. We know TKV is probably going to want to try and sit on David's chest and get close to him. Dangerous against a puncher to try and walk them down. You have got to get it right. So yeah, I think that's a really good fight, and then you go up the card and it's just more and more. It's the big boys, man. You got Okoli and Riatpo. I think that's, you know, it's a top fight. You know,
look, Lawrence looks like a destructive machine. At heavyweight now. Maybe it was a bit heavy in his last fight. He said he wants to trim down, but obviously Richard is boxer fighter. How do you see him moving up to heavyweight and acclimating? This is only his first chance.
Well, I'm baffled as to how both of them ever made cruiser. Both big guys. Like, they must have been killing themselves to make it. Heavyweight suits them both better. Already Okoli looks good and destructive and healthy at heavyweight, and you see him and he's just a big guy. And Riatpo is no different. They're big guys. So, and we know the punch power that Riatpo has as well. That could be a case of who gets there first, that fight.
And obviously, lastly on that one, Dillian Whyte, Joe Joyce. I guess this is almost one of those who's got what left kind of fights. People looking at like the end of the road. Like, how do you see that one playing out?
It's an interesting one because Joe Joyce, it's quite easy to write him off. He obviously lost to Chisora. He had a couple of losses against Zhang, but he's still one of the most imposing figures in boxing. And when he's walking you down, you got to really have your wits about you. Dillian is, he is, what's the word? He is he's battle ready. He's been here before. He's seen pretty much every style there is to see, and he's the hardest person in the world to intimidate. You know what I'm saying? So Joe Joyce walking it down might not be enough. It's an interesting fight. I don't know how to call that one.
All right, look, lastly, we just had Last Crescendo on Saturday, an amazing card. I think most people have said, like, on paper, best card of the decade or whatever. In your opinion, I don't want your things on all the card, but which fights on that card for you delivered? What was your favourite fight?
My favourite fight on that easily was Buatsi, Callum Smith. That fight was as pure a fight as I've ever seen. It was perfect. And I think if you're going to lose a fight, that's how you lose a fight, in a war, in a fight where the fans win. And they were both hurt. They were both tired. They both sat in the pocket, traded. It was a ridiculously good fight. I think that's one of the best fights that anyone will see this year.
It's surprising both men managed to stay on their feet the entire time. Credit to both of them and their chins. Okay, with regard to Buatsi, obviously he's a boxer fighter. Where do you see his next step?
I've not spoken to him yet to work out, but I don't think that's the kind of fight or defeat where you have to drop down levels and go again. He's for me shown that. Look, he fought Callum Smith, who's a top fighter, former world champion. But a lot of the public weren't sure what Callum Smith had left in terms of ambition. You know, how much do you really want it? You have to want it against Joshua Buatsi because he wants it, and he showed everything. So I think a loss like that is no disgrace. It's just about how you can learn from it. Where do you improve? If you were to fight him again, what would you do differently? How could you implement those changes? You just go again. That's it. It's boxing.
And finally, the main event of that card. Most people saying better than the first, which didn't seem possible at one point. What was your thoughts of it?
I think they would fight forever and it would look the same every single time. Bivol was always going to be the one that could maybe make the slight changes, just a little nuances, replied a little bit more, and with a couple more shots rather than the 1-2s, 1-2, 3-4s, and I think that's what won in the fight. But ultimately, that fight will always look like that. They could fight 1,000 rounds, and it would be close, and it would be one aggressor and one replying, and you can watch them fight forever.
Listen, Dan, thank you very much for your time. I've even had you here longer than I was expecting. We'll chat off camera, but I appreciate it.
Love it.
Yeah, so shout out to Dan. It's weird. You know what? I feel like I could have got so much more out of it. So I think I might have to hit him up and see if I can get him on the live when I'm doing one of the casual streams or something, and we can just talk for 20, 30 minutes, you know, them ones. The thing was, because they kept saying, the press conference might start in about 5 minutes, so I didn't want, obviously, for it to be starting. You get Ade or you get Michael Buffer up there, and then, we're trying to do the content. So I was rushing some bits a little bit, so it didn't come out as smooth as I would have liked. But Dan, consummate professional as always. He showed up, he did what he needed to do, and I hope that the answers were satisfactory to y'all. But yeah, I think I definitely need to get him on a live stream or something, or just in a moment where we can just talk for a longer period of time. But yeah, there was supposed to be a couple other people that I was chatting to. For one reason or another, it didn't take place, but that's cool. We will go again at the next possible opportunity. But with that being said, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and I will catch you on the next one. Until then, peace.